This is a Flying Cow production.
Book 1, Water. Book 2, Earth. Book 3, Fire. Long ago, Nickelodeon introduced a series called Avatar: The Last Airbender. It combined great anime-style animation, strong storytelling, heart, and humor. It was great, and everyone that saw it loved it. Until one day, a terrible movie came out which everyone hated. But my co-host Loren Collins knows none of this because he's never seen the show. And that's why we are watching every episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, because I believe this could be Loren's new favorite show. Or at least top 20.
Well, hello and welcome back to Comets and Cabbages here on the Flying Cow. This, of course, is our Avatar: The Last Airbender podcast. And let me change my background here because
we're not doing this set from
no, I've still got this set from last time I recorded. But yes, I, of course, am the Flying Cow himself, Clay Johnson, and it's all Katara's fault.
Well, I'm Amanda Van Heil, and I am currently drinking some tea that would make Uncle Iroh proud.
And I'm Loren Collins, and I am currently not on the run from pirates.
That is always a good status.
I know. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying how recently I've been on the run from pirates. Right now, as of
currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
No pirates.
Yeah. I really want to see somebody update their status to not on the run from pirates now.
Yeah. Yes, Mark's safe from
pirates. Yes. There you go. That you might have already named the episode, Loren.
Thank you.
Nice.
All right. So, yes, we are here, of course, to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. We already have a few episodes down, but we've got another one coming up. I will say, for anybody wondering why I look so dark and gloomy today, my ring light basically just stopped working. Like, it's doing this weird flickering thing, and that's the best I can get from it right now. I've ordered a new one, but right now my look matches my mood, dark and gloomy. But I will be better lit hopefully the next time that we record. But for right now, honestly, I think that this is kind of a good look for the episode that we are talking about, because as Loren mentioned, we are talking today about an episode featuring pirates.
Yar.
Or as they like to call themselves, high-risk traders. But this is we went from a couple of episodes that were kind of, very important to like the plot and, the progression of the story. And now we get kind of a romp about pirates. Obviously we're still kind of continuing on from the last episode. The whole reason that they stop is because Aang is concerned that he's not going to be prepared. So, Katara decides to teach him whatever waterbending moves. But it's just, like I said in the last episode, they've been given this ticking clock, but they're still going to stop to have romps with pirates. But yeah, like I said, at the beginning of this episode, Aang is all freaked out about the fact that he only has till the end of the summer to not only master all of the elements, but come up with a plan to stop the Fire Lord. And he is, understandably freaking out. I don't know about you guys, but if I was told that I had, 6 months to overthrow a tyrant, I would be a little, in my head as well.
I don't know. I think I'd just be kind of just playing video games and sleeping and relaxing until like maybe 2 weeks before, and then I'd just
Okay.
cram in all my training at once.
I mean, it's not necessarily that he has to stop the tyrant. He could just stop the comet. So I mean, that's an
That's
option.
true.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he already has
You
super
can just airbend it out of the way.
it. In
Airbend
space.
it back into space.
Yes. Well, okay, yeah, not a lot of air in space, so that's a problem. But
No.
But when he
no.
learns earthbending, then he
Comets
can
do
like
have
earthbend
water.
it back into space.
comets do have water. Also, wherever the comet is from, does that still count as Earth, or is Earth specific to Earth?
I
I don't want to
mean,
give away too much, but I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
Fair
It's
enough.
similar makeup, so I mean, I say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
also
I
it does,
think
like,
yeah,
explain
even
later
though
on.
it's not called Earth, you know,
Yes.
it'd be called, you know, comet or whatever. It's
Yeah.
still like made of like those
Rock.
base minerals and rock. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I will say though, I feel like in order to be able to earthbend, there has to be something to push against. There has to be some sort of friction. I don't think you could earthbend just in space, like against space.
I mean, I
You
feel
know
like
what I
we
mean?
Like, what if it came into the atmosphere? Like, as soon as it got into the atmosphere, and then you bent it.
think that would work.
I mean, by then though, the effect. I mean, I will say though, a comet doesn't come into the atmosphere. That's an asteroid.
Okay,
A comet is just going to cross the close enough to basically be seen in the sky, but it's going to stay in
Okay.
space the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Haley's comet comes around every 100 years. It doesn't crash into Earth every
Okay,
100
that's true.
years.
Okay, that is very true.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it can crash. It just doesn't.
It can. Some people have thought that that's how the dinosaurs died.
Well, yeah.
Died.
I mean, well, wait, you
Um,
remember the Hale-Bopp comet, right? The one that
Yeah,
crashed.
I remember
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Wait,
It's
it
a thing.
crashed?
You know, I think it was the Hale-Bopp comet back in like the 90s. It crashed into Jupiter.
Oh,
I didn't know it
See,
crashed
I
into
didn't know it.
Jupiter.
I mean, obviously, I was just thinking Earth. I was like, I don't remember it crashing into Earth.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
would
no.
remember
seeing
that.
it and then seeing people like that weird cult that
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly. Yes. I could be wrong. I also think that there's theories that the Tunguska explosion was a comet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Back in like
you
1904
and me both, Amanda.
or something, 1906, something like that.
Okay.
There was something that crashed into Russia, like
Oh.
rural Siberia or something like that. In
A
Tunguska.
comet or an asteroid?
We don't know. That's
Oh,
the thing.
okay.
It was just something crashed and just devastated it for like hundreds of miles in every direction.
Right.
Wow. And yeah. But whatever it was disintegrated in the process of it, so we don't have anything left over from what had happened.
Interesting.
But it was just a massive explosion. I
Yeah.
remember an X-Files comic book story that was centered around that, which
Yeah.
supposed it was alien.
Interesting. However, I don't think any of those things does Aang have to worry about
No.
in the context of this story. But like I said, getting back to it, he's freaked out, because he hasn't even started waterbending because they have been procrastinating apparently as badly as Amanda, prepping to take down a tyrant. Getting to the North Pole. So Katara offers to teach Aang the little bit of waterbending that she knows. And honestly, I was like, why have we not been doing this the whole time? It's like, I understand that she's, barely learned much because she's basically everything that Katara's learned, she's had to teach herself. Because there are no other waterbenders in the Southern Tribe. In fact, we'll learn a bit more about it later, but she's had to keep her waterbending kind of on the down low. So it's not like she has really had the chance to learn or practice much. So what little she has is all self-taught. So, I mean, regardless of how little she may or may not know, it's still rather impressive that she knows what she does.
Yeah, and only now is she really coming out of the water closet.
Exactly. Yes. I don't know if she'd quite put it like that. But yeah. But she does offer to teach Aang what she does know. And I will say something that I noticed because I think I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, there was a point at which Aang was looking over the back, and I was like, who was driving? I don't think we've seen anybody else drive. Sokka was driving Appa today in this episode. So, sometimes Sokka drives. I wonder if Katara ever gets to drive.
I feel like Katara just wouldn't want to.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. If I had somebody that was willing to drive me around everywhere, I'd just be like, cool, you guys have
Yeah,
at
same.
it. But yeah, so Sokka's like, yeah, I'm sure we can find a puddle for you guys to splash around in. They proceed to land here.
That is a big puddle.
Yeah, to which Sokka responds, nice puddle. Which I'm like, yes, that is a very nice puddle. It is a full waterfall, complete with river and pond, all of that good stuff. But I will say it seems to be a great place to practice waterbending. So Katara starts showing Aang the little skills that she knows, and I will say, just in her initial setup, she seems to actually be a pretty good teacher, because she's showing him, but kind of setting his expectations, because she's like, this took me a long time to learn. Don't get discouraged. You really just have to feel, giving him a lot of pointers. Little does she, is she taking into account the fact that Aang, being the Avatar, is a bending prodigy. So all of the basic moves that she shows him, even the ones that she's kind of still struggling with, he just gets immediately. And so, at first she's just like, oh, okay. Well, here, let me show you the second one. And increasingly, you can kind of start to see the annoyance because
much blamer. But Aang does bring up a good point where he's like, you had to teach yourself. You showed me.
Well, and also, again, Earth is, yes. And not only is he the Avatar, but he's already master of an element.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are probably principles that are kind of innate across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine, Amanda, once you had learned a martial art, learning others, even the more challenging ones, were easier than the first one.
Yeah.
Because you understood the basic underlying principles.
Exactly. Because I started off doing Kung Fu and then moved into Tai Chi and Bagua. And so there's still a whole lot of similarities, because they're all from the same kind of core mindset and core mechanics and everything. So once you kind of get one idea in, it's like, okay, so it's kind of like when I do this move. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, which
and air and water are very so even the arts that it's based on, airbending and waterbending, are pretty similar.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say that, and you'd be like, no, actually, they're completely different.
Yeah, because in my Tai Chi class, which is waterbending, we do Bagua, which is airbending.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, pretty, similar skills. And as we mentioned, Aang is already a master in an element. So, it makes sense that he'd pick up these basics faster than Katara, who not only is still learning her only element, but, has had no instruction. But like I said, she still kind of shows promise as a potential teacher, if the need ever arises.
Yeah, I like the scenes with her as a teacher, but I admit when she started reacting negatively, and eventually when she finally snaps at Aang, like all of that gave me vibes of like Disney Channel sitcom stuff of just like the kids being petty because it's a kid show.
Sure.
Because
I mean, I'm a grown ass adult and I'd be petty about it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, though,
he's literally like the chosen one here. Obviously, he's going to be good at this.
But at the same time, I can understand, as Amanda said, I can understand Katara's frustration because she has been working on this stuff for a long time. And yes, she's not thinking about the fact that he's an avatar, that he's mastered another element. She's just thinking, you're just learning this. I've been working on it for so long, and you have already like surpassed me. It's annoying. And it also, I think a lot of this comes into the frustration that she's really only expressed a couple of times that she hasn't ever had anyone to teach her. She hasn't ever had anyone help her, because we can tell that Katara loves being a waterbender. I mean, we've seen this anytime she is around other benders. She immediately is like, be my best friend. You're my best friend now, right? Yes, exactly. But she is starved for this attention of other people like her. And so it is, especially when she sets herself up as, I can teach you. And then he surpasses her, not eventually, but immediately. That is not only a kick to the ego, but it is also a reminder that she has not had the opportunity or the training or anything that Aang had earlier in his life. So
it hasn't been established. I guess it has, that she's the only waterbender left in her tribe.
Yes.
I mean, she said that in the first episode.
Oh,
she said, you're looking at the only waterbender in the Southern tribe.
So all the other ones went off to war, I guess.
I will say we will find out eventually.
Okay.
What
but they are definitely not there.
Yeah, they're not in the Southern tribe.
Southern tribe.
Yeah. Okay. There are some in the Northern tribe, which is why they're on their way to it.
And other places, but
yes. But at this point, she's never. I mean, honestly, I imagine that waterbending probably came as a surprise to her, because she had never saw anybody else do it, and probably just one day accidentally went, what's this?
And honestly, and I don't need the spoilers for that. I assume that'll be answered at some point of just how long ago all the other waterbenders departed.
It gets answered.
Yeah. It might take a lot
away if we say much more.
I was about to say we don't want to stay on that subject, but so I will say, I mean, it comes later in the episode, but I actually enjoyed the moment where Katara lets loose on Aang.
Will you please shut your air hole?
Because I mean, Katara, for the most part, I mean, yes, she gives impassioned, like, follow your heart speeches, but we've rarely ever seen her like angry, like lash out at somebody. The only other time that we did, she released Aang from a century-long prison. So it is honestly, I found it kind of refreshing to see Katara lose her temper, because honestly, I understand completely where she's coming from.
Same.
But so let's see. Like I said, Katara, is showing Aang the skills, and Aang masters a skill that Katara has barely even started working on, which is a big wave, which of course Aang conjures up, and it unintentionally has the effect of washing all of their supplies away. So they end up having to replenish them in a nearby town.
I don't know why she can't just waterbend them back over or get Aang to.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, by the time we see it, they're like pretty far down. I don't know that either one of them, is powerful enough at this point to have done that.
They could also fly a certain Appa down to catch up with it. But.
Yeah, but I mean, then we wouldn't have the rest of the story. But I will say something that I forgot to mention is while these two are, kind of working on, their waterbending practice, Sokka is just like, well, what am I supposed to do? And Aang says, well, you can clean the mud from between Appa's toes. So he actually does. And I will say, I have to play because I just love this whole moment. So let's.
Yeah, don't get too happy. You've got to do me next.
Number one, I love, Sokka keeping the jokes coming. You've got to do me next. And I love that Appa thinks that that's funny. The image of Appa laughing is amazing. I love it. Just that whole look, the way Appa looks when he laughs, and also just like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'm just trying to picture Appa giving like Sokka a pedicure. I'm just imagining like putting it like in his mouth like a toothpick.
Yeah. Oh, really, really fun stuff. But yes, like I said, they do get their stuff floated away, so they have to go replenish their stores. And as they are, looking around, they seem to have bought quite a bit already, and now they're down to their last few pieces. I will say at one point, Sokka thinks that they have 3 copper pieces left, but Aang informs him that they actually only have 1 because he bought two, because that he bought a bison whistle. At which point Sokka says maybe somebody else should hold on to the money from now on. And I was just like, I'm sorry, who ever thought it was a good idea for Aang to hold on to the money? And would anybody here entrust Aang with your money?
No.
We have 3 coins. Definitely. Okay, we could, like, one of us, all older kids hold on to it. We could each have 1, or maybe that's what they did. Maybe they each had 1. They just sort of distributed the 3 amongst them while they go.
Maybe. But I mean, they do specifically say that it's the money that was given to them by King Bumi. Yeah. So more than likely, he gave it directly to Aang, and Aang has just been holding on to it this whole time. But I honestly say Katara or Sokka would be a much better. Like, I would trust either one of them 10 times with my money before I'd ever trust Aang with my money.
I'd trust Momo, honestly, more with the money.
Oh, honestly, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Because Aang, if anybody ever read as someone who wastes their money, it is Aang.
Yeah. To be fair, as soon as that whistle shows up on screen, it's like, oh, look, it's a bison whistle. This is definitely coming back later. It's gonna be.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah. So I will say he tells him maybe somebody else should hold on to the money, but then later on, Aang still has the money. I'm like, we didn't immediately take it away from him.
He must have like taken it back from Katara when she wasn't looking.
Maybe I don't know. But regardless, they
pirate in training.
Yes, yeah. They look in one last shop, which just happens to be a docked ship. And they go into this shop, and of course the lead shopkeeper talks like this, and he's got a pet reptile bird. I will say, I think that is a very like menacing combination for a pirate's parrot mixed with
that's essentially
a lizard.
A freaking dinosaur.
Yeah, it's a flying dinosaur. Yeah, but and everything that they have. They're just like, well, how did you get this? Oh, I got it for a good price, and eventually they realize, okay, these guys are pirates. But they do, amongst their merchandise, find a waterbending scroll, which immediately Katara latches onto, and she's like, if we could have this. I will say the scroll itself only has like 4 more moves, so it's not going to help them a whole lot. I also wonder if somebody, I guess waterbending scroll would be good for teaching or learners. I can't imagine anybody that's got bending mastered would need it. But yeah, it's really just got a series of moves, and I'm just like, can you not just like, I'm just like, I feel like I could just look at that and be like, oh, okay, I'll try that later. Walk away.
So save yourself the money. Just like, yeah, I'll just remember that for later.
Yeah. I mean, it more seems like the value in it is as a relic.
Yes.
More than an actual like instructive, because they are just, images of positions.
Yep.
And I feel like, images like that would be a little easier to memorize.
You think so?
Yeah. But regardless, they do offer to buy the scroll, at which point the pirates tell them that they already have a buyer who, is basically promising them a large sum of money. And the only way they can get it is if they have, what is it, like 200 gold pieces?
I think it was 100 gold pieces or 1,000 or something like that.
It was 2 something. I can't remember.
Okay.
100 or 2,000, but either way, it's a lot. It's a lot.
More than they had.
Exactly. Of course, Aang immediately tries to haggle and barter with them, but all he has is 2 copper pieces. It's not going to, I don't think it would have even worked if he had 1 or 2 gold pieces. The guy said 200 or whatever. So yeah, not gonna happen. But as they are going through this, Katara basically ushers them out.
Okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah. And then, they don't get very far before the pirates start coming after them. And they do eventually escape. But, Sokka is just like, I don't know what those guys' problems are. They're never going to keep customers if they're doing that. And he's just like, those pirates are terrible. And Katara's like, yeah, they are. That's why I stole from them. Because that's how Katara talks.
Yeah, I stole from the pirates.
I stole from the pirates. Stupid pirates. But yes, she reveals that she stole the waterbending scroll. And honestly, at that point, I'm just like, all right, they probably stole it, so I'm not that fussed.
Yeah.
With Katara stealing, but
Stealing from pirates is different.
I will say that Sokka, is like upset, not necessarily because of the stealing, but because her stealing put them in danger. I will say I do see Sokka's point of view there. What do you guys think?
I'm with Sokka there as well. You really gonna steal from people with big swords like that?
I mean, they got away.
And they're trying to, live on the down low here while they're escaping their way to the north. So anything drawing attention to them, especially from, people like pirates who might hold a grudge, bad idea.
Right.
I feel like Sokka could have been like, if you're gonna steal, like replace it with some kind of a decoy or something.
Yeah.
Either that, or how about you immediately leave?
Yeah.
And not just stay downstream from them for a night.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, then just go. They're not going to catch up to you while you're on Appa.
Yeah, what Sokka should have said is, now we've got to break camp.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, once they're on top of Appa in the sky, the pirates don't know about the flying bison. Even if the pirates
he wasn't there.
They would just think, oh, it's a flying bison. That's strange. Let's keep looking for those kids who were here to stole them. Yes.
But yeah, they do stay in camp. And it's at this point that Katara she makes it sound like, oh, Aang, I bought this for you. Or I stole this for you. I don't think anybody is fooled by that.
No.
I mean, regardless, I don't think anybody would have balked if she was like, we can both learn from this. But she immediately is just like, I just want to learn this one, and then you can have it. I'm just like, Katara, why don't you both learn from it together? That way, but, obviously she's feeling, her ego broken from the earlier morning. And she's hoping to learn something that Aang doesn't know. Of course, she struggles because, again, she's never had an instructor and she's still learning, basic rules of bending, whereas Aang gets it immediately. And that is when the previous clip came in. And at that point, after she's yelled at Aang and Aang immediately is, boo-boo faced, she's just like, oh, Aang, I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not going to use the scroll anymore. I'm done. Yeah, we all believe that.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
I can quit anytime I want.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, if she had just been open about the fact that we can learn from it together, because eventually there will come a point at which some of the things are going to be more natural to Katara than they are to Aang, and they can help each other through these various stages. But no, she decides instead to be selfish and then pretend to be selfless. Yeah. But we do need to go back because we have not mentioned Zuko and Iroh Rose storyline in this bit. Basically, we join them at a point in which Zuko is on the deck of the ship, and the ship starts turning. Zuko starts freaking out because he's like, who ordered this course correction? Mutiny! He's ready to pull a Warden Takei and start throwing people off the ship. But Uncle Iroh is just like, no. I told them to change course because something really important has come up. I have lost my most prized tile in my game. The game of Pai Sho, which is, I think it's already come up once or twice. I think in the first episode, Iroh kind of encouraged Zuko to play a game of Pai Sho with him and just kind of chill. To which, Zuko is like, no, angry. But he reveals that he is missing this very important tile. So they need to go to a shop so that he can play his game. So they do. They divert course, and wouldn't you know it, they end up at the exact same marketplace as Aang and the gang. And I will say something that I forgot to mention earlier in the struggle or the chase with the pirates. We have the return of
My cabbages!
the cabbage merchant has returned. I believe we are now on 4 on our My Cabbages count. This is the fourth time we have employed the phrase My Cabbages. I think it's only
This place is worse than Omashu.
Yeah, it's only the second appearance of the cabbage merchant, but it is already his catchphrase. His catchphrase, if I can say it, which is of
My
course
cabbages!
yes. Just wanted to make sure we pointed that out. I will say that Iroh does not find the White Lotus Pai Sho tile, which he is looking for. But he does find lots of other things. I will say the fact that Uncle Iroh likes to shop, honestly, it's not something that I saw coming, but it doesn't really surprise me. What do you guys think? Does Uncle Iroh, the shopaholic, surprise any?
Oh,
of you?
not at all. Like that
No?
is pure Uncle Iroh of just being like, oh, this looks like good stuff. We need it.
I honestly think that Iroh is into all forms of relaxation.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is a relaxation purist. He is, open to, it's like, oh, rubbing your face in mud is relaxing. I'll try that.
Yeah.
I think anything that brings anyone joy or is any form of self-care, Iroh is all about it.
Yeah. Every day for Uncle Iroh is one of those treat yourself days.
Absolutely. Iroh is a self-care king.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can all aspire to be Uncle Iroh.
Absolutely.
By the way, I just checked. I was curious when you brought up Pie Show whether that's a real game or not, and it turns out it was created for the show, but since then, like fans have like figured out rules for it, so now you can play the show in the same way that like you can buy a Sabacc game from Star Wars.
Right. See, I will say I've always assumed that Pie Show was, while maybe not a real game in the real world at the time, based on some sort of real life, like
it has kind
Is
of
it like Mahjong? No, wait, Mahjong's a card game. Never mind.
Yeah, it has kind of a Chinese checkers look to it.
Yeah,
I was about to say, yeah, it does kind of look like a Chinese checkers board.
I get Mahjong and Chinese checkers mixed up sometimes.
Well, I mean, Mahjong is also tiles.
Okay, so that's probably where I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains why I get them all mixed up then.
Yeah. It honestly might be because the Pie Show tiles kind of look like round Mahjong tiles.
Right.
So it might be kind of a mix between Chinese checkers and Mahjong. But yeah, like I said, they are looking, and they of course also stumble upon the pirate ship market. And wouldn't you know it,
they're high risk traders.
High risk traders, yes, that's right. Must respect their preferred term.
That's the name of it. Yes. They have formally branded themselves that way. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But wouldn't you know it, they walk in just as they are talking about the fact that they lost the Water Tribe girl and the bald monk, to which Zuko is just like, could that be the same Water Tribe girl and bald monk I'm looking for?
Because there's a whole bunch of them on the run.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. But eventually Zuko and the pirates team up. And I will say, I actually kind of tip my hat to Zuko's logic, because they're like in the pirates little boat shop, going down the river, and the pirate captain is just like, shouldn't we search the woods? And Zuko's like, they stole a waterbending scroll, right? They're gonna be on the water. And just like, it's good logic, Zuko.
Pretty smart.
It's a very good point. Sound. But I will say, as we see that they have set out looking for them, we also see that Katara, that sneaky little thief, has stolen into Sokka's bag and borrowed again the waterbending scroll, because she's got to get that water whip. And they overhear her practicing, which causes the pirates to basically easily capture all the rest of them, because they go looking for Katara when they realize that she's gone, but they're caught unaware. The pirates catch them easily. I will say they shoot a net at Aang, and his response is to airbend. at the net. I'm like,
Through the holes.
Aang, it's a net. It got holes. I mean, apparently, though, nets, the perfect weapon against airbenders.
Yeah. I mean, I assume he just acted on instinct. It's a smart weapon.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. He's probably just not thinking about the fact that it's a net. It's got holes. But we have discovered, we've discovered that at this point, for earthbenders, their weakness is metal. For airbenders, it's nets.
It's holes.
Yes. Anything with holes. Their weakness. Superman has kryptonite. Airbenders have nets. I will say there's a bit here that I just we actually have skipped over another bit. So when Katara wakes up and she decides, I'm not giving up on this opportunity to learn this move. I'm going to sneakily, quietly get the waterbending scroll. She thinks that she is unobserved, but remember, Momo is watching. This still in the camera of just Momo's face is like, it's kind of cute, but it's also just like, whoa, okay. I feel like a lot of us would stay, mind our P's and Q's if there was just a big poster of that image. Remember, Momo is watching.
He may be cute, but he's unnerving.
That's right.
He sees
That's
you.
right.
He sees what you do.
Momo will keep you in line. But there's also a moment, once they are discovered by the pirates, they immediately kidnap Aang. And it looks at first like they're just going to leave Sokka. And Sokka has the best line. He's like, what? I'm not worth kidnapping? Which prompted me to make this new meme. Sokka, good enough to kidnap.
I like it. Yeah, I love that bit from Sokka.
I'm not good enough to kidnap?
Honestly, I totally get where he's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it's, everybody's taking turns getting insulted in this. Katara is insulted that Aang is immediately surpassing her, and Sokka is insulted that he's only second good enough to kidnap. But yeah, they are all caught, and basically they all like meet together as like a kidnapping meeting. It's like, okay, we're all captured. Let's all meet together. Let's discuss this issue. They've all been caught, and Katara immediately apologizes because she recognizes the fact that had she not stolen the scroll and then, lost in her ego. I will say the whole fact that they're still there, any one of them could have been like, hey, maybe we should leave.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily on her, but, then sneaking off to, keep working with the scroll loud enough to be heard by the pirates who, I mean, did she really think, oh, they're not looking for us? But yeah, she is pretty much the biggest cause for their predicament, and she immediately apologizes. And Aang's just like, oh no, it's not your fault. I love this scene
kind
though.
of is.
Yeah.
Aang, this is all my fault. No, Katara, it isn't.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Iroh dropping the truth bomb.
Yeah.
Because Iroh is always good for a bit of wisdom. Even if you're not necessarily on his side, he's going to drop the truth. This is all Katara's fault. Stop being nice, Aang. Katara fucked up. She did.
Going Katara.
Yeah, geez, you really Katara this one. But yeah, so they're caught. they really only get out of it because Sokka, once again, we're seeing more sides of Sokka. Sokka is very clever in this because he starts to kind of plant seeds of dissension on both sides, and eventually, Zuko and his crew start fighting with the pirates, which gives Aang and the gang the opportunity to escape. And there is briefly kind of a back and forth, kind of a little keep away game with the waterbending scroll. There's also just a couple of beats here and there where I think there's a bit where they're all fighting, and because of the fighting, like there's dust and smoke and stuff everywhere. So Aang like clears it and immediately reveals that all of his enemies are around him. So he's like, oh yeah, we don't need clarity right now. But just some fun fight moments, but eventually they do all get out, and they escape to I will say at this point I don't know where Appa is, because they don't escape to Appa. They escape to the pirates' ship. And both Aang and Katara, use waterbending basically to put the ship back into the water, because it's beached at the moment. And they use their waterbending to steal the pirates' boat, and they escape.
They just keep stealing things.
Yeah, but you know what? They're getting better at it.
Yeah.
Is this time they actually run away. And I will say, I guess it happens earlier in the earlier escape where the bison whistle comes in.
Oh, that's right.
Because Aang eventually blows it during their first escape, and proves that it actually does work. I don't know where he was the first time Aang blew it, but
yeah, I wanted to say
now
I kind of wish he hadn't blown it, or Apple had already been there when he did, because
something like that to kind of because otherwise it's just like, why didn't he respond the first time?
Maybe the first time they're just like, what's Aang doing right now?
Yeah. Maybe the blow kind of based on the way Aang blows, Appa can tell whether or not he's in danger.
Yeah.
Or maybe just Aang had a conversation with Appa when he got back. It's like, hey, that ear-piercing shriek you heard earlier? Next time you hear that,
you need to come. You need to help. Yeah. But yeah, and then in the very last moment, it is revealed that Katara has made away once again with the water bending scroll. Sokka, is just like, well, did we learn a lesson? And I do want to talk about this last line, because Katara makes a joke and Aang responds to it, and I just have to question this.
What did you learn?
Stealing is wrong. Unless it's from pirates. Good one, Katara.
And my question there is, because Aang's response is, good one, Katara. My question is it though? Because now I am not going to debate Katara's point there. I think she's got a point. Stealing from pirates, I don't think is wrong.
Clay Johnson, anti-pirate. Gotcha.
Yeah. I think, pirates steal, you steal from a stealer, no harm done.
I do want to know, though, if when they stole the pirate ship, is that still considered Grand Theft Auto?
Grand Theft flotation.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it still counted because it is from pirates. So
right.
That's in a different category.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on whether or not the pirates legally own that boat or not.
That's true.
Yeah,
And
if
somehow
it's
I
in
don't
their
think they
name.
do.
Yeah,
Incident-
but I mean,
do you want a legal answer for this?
Actually,
yes,
yes.
yes,
Would
yes.
actually, okay, yeah. Because there have been claims in the past and lawsuits and whatnot regarding when one thief steals from another thief. So like somebody has stolen
Okay.
something, someone else steals it from them, and then the question then becomes, who has rightful? Can the first thief claim rightful possession of the thing that has been stolen from him, even though he took it from someone else? And the answer is actually generally yes.
Finders
Then-
keepers.
No, it's not. No, it's the stealing it from someone who already sort of illegally possesses it does not like make it okay. The earlier thief still has a priority of possession over the subsequent.
I stole it first.
Yeah, exactly. Basically,
Yeah, but I don't know that would the law like return the item to the original thief.
If the original thief demands the return of it, then yes, that's what happens. Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's one of those things where I remember we covered it back in school that it doesn't come up a lot. A lot of thieves don't really want to present themselves to the court and have it come up.
Yeah, because they might get their item back, because they might also
stole it from
get some jail time.
Exactly, they might get in trouble for having taken it the first time. I maybe the way this usually comes up is when someone like the statute of limitations has passed on the original theft, so they're not going to get criminal trouble for it. But no, it's a sticky question for the law to resolve, and basically the law decided it's like we don't want to reward subsequent thefts.
Sure.
So at the very least, like the earlier, the more times it's stolen, the less right anyone has to it. So at least an earlier, thief has superior to the subsequent thief. If the original owner comes back, they still get it. But yeah.
So the line is even more in question. My question is because Aang laughs like Katara just told a really funny joke.
Yes.
It's not a funny joke.
It's not a funny joke.
It's not even a joke. I mean, she says it like she's being clever, and it's like, okay, that's fine, but that's not a line anybody's gonna actually laugh at.
It's not funny, haha. No, Aang's just a bigot against pirates, and he just likes a good slam against the pirates.
I mean, I don't think any of us can really argue the fact that Aang is laughing because Katara said it, not because what she said was actually
funny.
Yes.
He's like, hi, Katara, you're so funny.
You're so funny. You're my friend, right? We're friends. Yeah. Okay, cool. I like that. But yeah. So is there anything else about this episode that we wanted to talk about before we
so Zuko with Katara's necklace when he shows it to her,
which he still has. But yes, he does reveal in this episode.
Like, I'll save you from the pirates. It's like, dude, why are you getting all seductive all of a sudden here?
Yeah. Yeah. A little weird.
Like that whole scene was just like, Zuko, why are you talking to Katara like this? Why are you doing this right now? This is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why,
I mean,
with the necklace,
trying to throw her off, like just attacking them hasn't worked. He's just gonna creep her out now.
Well, I mean, also in that moment, he's trying to use that as a lure for her to tell him where Aang is. So he's just using anything he's got in his back pocket. He's just throwing it all out at her, So yeah, some of it is not going to come across great.
This part just cracks me up so much. I'm just like, are you seriously trying to seduce Katara into giving her information?
Yeah, I will also say we did not wrap up Iroh's storyline. Iroh eventually discovers that his White Lotus tile was in his robes the whole time. Yeah. Of course, then Zuko throws it in the river.
Well, now they have to just go get a new one.
Yeah, I'm just like, Zuko, you realize now he's actually gonna now want a new one.
Yeah.
So you've just held yourself up again.
Come to think, I've watched Jet already. I know you haven't, Clay. They don't show up.
Well, I mean, I've seen the episode.
You've seen the episode. Zuko and Iroh don't show up in Jet. So clearly this means
They're
all
they've
shocked.
gone to get a pie show tile. Yeah.
Yes.
Either
Yeah.
that or they're swimming for a new one.
Yeah. Going to
I'm
get his
just
old one.
imagining Uncle Iroh getting out scuba equipment and putting it on Zuko and telling him to go get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else that we want to talk about with this episode?
If we can have a corrections part of this episode, I would like to correct
Absolutely.
myself from earlier, which is
Okay.
that the comet that crashed into Jupiter was not Comet Hale-Bopp. That was discovered in 1995. And
Okay.
is
I was about to say, yeah.
it's a periodic. The comet that crashed into Jupiter was Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9, which crashed into Jupiter in 1994. Yes, so different name. Sorry, I got them conflated. And also, just because I mentioned it too, the Tunguska event was 1908 in Siberia, and it flattened an estimated 80 million trees over 800 square miles.
Jeez.
Yes, it was a 12 megaton explosion, and it's generally suspected to be like an exploding meteor or possibly a small comet. But
I really got to say, it took us a few episodes, but we're really bringing the comets and cabbages in this episode.
yes, we are.
We had a little bit of both.
For the first time, we have both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, then I think it is time to go ahead and get into our segments. So we are going to, of course, start with our My Cabbages moment.
My cabbages!
This is, of course, the scene in the episode that was our favorite or most interesting. So let us go ahead and let's start with you, Loren. What was your My Cabbages moment?
All right, it's been a couple weeks since I've watched this episode, so I'm a little rusty. But you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say my cabbages moment is the cabbages moment. Since this is, like you said, his first time returning. To establish him not just as a running gag within an episode, but over the course of the series. So yeah, simple enough.
My cabbages.
Absolutely. All right, Amanda.
That is also my favorite moment because it's like they're running through but you think it's safe, and then Aang just turns around and just knocks over all of his cabbages. So like all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe Aang just has something against cabbages, but the line just this place is worse than Omashu is just perfect.
What's really funny about that moment is that both Katara and Sokka bump into the cabbage vendor's cart.
Right.
Aang then immediately just flies through it, so does not jostle it at all. At which point you think that the cabbage merchant probably is like, I like that Aang kid. He's good people. And then Aang turns around and throws his cart at the bad guys. So immediately the cabbage vendor hates Aang again.
No, it's a much better comic bit to have him narrowly escape and then destroy it all anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I will say my cabbages moment, you know, very often when Iroh has a scene, we're all talking about Iroh. I will say Iroh in this one is much more kind of comic relief. You know, he's much goofier in this episode than he is in a lot of the other ones. You know, he's, obviously got his goofy side and things like that, but there's also moments of more serious Iroh. This one is much heavier on the goofy side, but I will say my favorite moment in this episode is the Iroh moment where he drops the truth bomb on Katara, and he's just like, no, guys, don't let her off the hook. She fucked up. Yeah, it kind of is. Just the way that he delivers that line is just like, yeah, that's because it's like, it feels like he's teaching them, even though he's not on their side, technically.
Yeah.
But yeah, great moment there. But now it is time for our Mako Award. This is, of course, the award that we give to our favorite or most interesting character in the episode. So, Amanda, I'm going to have you start this one. Who gets your Mako award this episode?
Oh, this is hard. I just like the pirates. I like it when I'm going to say just the pirates in general, especially we prefer to call it high risk trading.
Okay.
And the one that, when he's like, what are curios? I don't know.
I don't know. It's just a word we use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with all the pirates.
All right. Loren.
Man, I'm gonna go with maybe that Pyrus boss guy who had like the little not a parrot.
The lizard bird.
Yes.
The lizard parrot.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go with the pirate
the lizard
captain
parrot or the pirate with the lizard parrot?
I'm a combo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them.
That whole double act there. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely memorable images, memorable characters. So yeah, I'm good with that. I will say we didn't mention the fight between Momo and that lizard bird. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would be worried for Momo fighting that thing because that thing looks scary.
Yeah. I did enjoy the fight, the conflict between the pirates and the Fire Nation dudes when they showed up, because it's just like it's two teams, two bad guys with different motivations fighting each other.
Right.
Which is an interesting conflict.
Yeah. I'm actually giving my Mako award this time to Sokka. I found, I mean, he's pretty much, on the outskirts, kind of he's riding the side of this episode. It's not about him, but just like his reactions mixed with, he's kind of the voice of reason in the group in this episode, even though, he does make a few mistakes. Like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't stay at camp, after we've just stolen something. But ultimately, I am giving it to Sokka because, as we all know, Sokka is good enough to kidnap. So
I'd kidnap you, Sokka.
Absolutely.
I can get behind you on that, because these last couple episodes I've watched, and again, I have watched Jet. I'm liking the development they're doing for Sokka.
Yeah.
I honestly, even though I know it wasn't your favorite episode, Loren, I think that ever since his kind of flip in the Warriors of Kyoshi, Sokka has really kind of come around and started to develop into the Sokka that we will all know and love.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely coming into his own in this episode, Sokka. All right, so now it is time to rate the episode on the Avatar State Meter. Of course, you can give a rating of anywhere from 1 to 5. 5, of course, being the show at its full power, and 1 being the lowest rating, could deal the show a fatal blow. So, on that rating system, Loren, we're going to start with you. What would you give this episode?
I'll go ahead and give it a 4. I think I enjoyed it well enough while watching it, but and I remember enjoying it. Sitting here right now, I don't remember. It's not what I feel compelled to revisit, but I'm sure I would. No, it was a fine little standalone episode. Had its things to recommend it.
All right, Amanda.
I will also give it a 4. It has a whole lot of fun moments, and it's definitely an above average episode, I would think. Has great acting in it, great stuff, so I'm giving it a 4.
All right. I'm going to join you guys and also give this a 4. I had considered giving it a 3.5 because it's not, a propulsive story. It's not one really that, obviously there's some character stuff happening, but it doesn't really propel the overall storyline. If they really need, they're currently doing the the live action version for Netflix, which will come out sometime next year.
Yeah.
I imagine this is probably a story element trim, but I think for, an episode that you could potentially call a filler episode, I think this is a strong one.
The whistle is not what destroys the comet.
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, at least not by itself.
Yeah.
But it needs help from its friends. But yeah, like I said, a fun episode, but still a bit filler. But I did really enjoy it, so I think it's good enough for a 4. All right. Well, then
not the first time we have all given the same exact number.
I think so. I think it is the first time that we've had a full consensus. Usually at least one of us is lower than the other two or higher than the other two. So yeah. All right. Well, then I think it is time to go ahead and let people know how they can get into contact with us. Of course, you can contact me at the Flying Cow Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You can email me at theflyingcowpod@gmail.com. And do not forget to check out all of our other shows. If it hasn't already come out yet, Amanda and I recently recorded an episode of Discussions for the month of November that just will happen to drop on my birthday. So make sure to check that one out, as well as all the other things that we have. Make sure to check out patreon.com/theflyingcow. I will say right now, the majority of our shows are on YouTube. However, if you go to patreon.com/theflyingcow, you can, if you prefer to have to listen to things on a podcast feed, you can still get our Patreon feed for only $1. And you can actually listen to all of our shows on that Patreon feed for only $1 a month. And you can continue to listen to us podcast style, if that's what you prefer. And we also have a couple of other tiers over there. One, the $10 tier, you can get all of the stuff 1 week early. So make sure to check that out. Amanda, Loren, what do you guys have going on?
Well, you can find me talking on Discussions with you, Clay, talking about Winnie the Pooh. Am I allowed to say it's Winnie the Pooh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually meant to, and then I was like, I didn't actually say what we talked about.
I couldn't remember if you mentioned it or not. And then
I
you
didn't, but it wasn't a secret. I just forgot to say it.
Okay, cool. Well, you can also find me hosting Zelda Weekly on Zelda Universe TV on YouTube.
And I'm still on Twitter at Loren Collins. If I ever actually start doing anything over on Blue Sky, still Loren Collins. Yeah, that's about it at the moment. Wrapped up Little Shop of Horrors the other day. It all went well, but
awesome.
Looking forward to future productions and whatnot.
That's right. All right. Well, again, we will be back next time talking about another episode. Let's see. What is the next episode? The next episode is Jet. So yeah, looking forward to that one. But until that time, moo.
Oh.